So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo. Welcome to my channel. My name is Samuel and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal, because I don't want to do it alone, then make sure to smash that like button. Do you know how to effectively talk about race? Like in a way that doesn't offend people, and if it does, you know how to steer it back in the right direction. And if you don't, you know how to leave it on, good terms, or at least terms that will be better off later on. In the opening credits, the author says that these are very scary and challenging times for people who are just now realizing that America is not and never was the melting pot utopia that their parents and teachers and everyone else told them it was. Chances are you have tried to talk about race in the past, and not everyone was like, you know what? I agree. And then after that, you didn't do it as much going forward. People of all races don't know how to talk about race. They will admit this without feeling like what they're saying is making things worse. But if we talk about race like it's this gargantuan monster that's just chasing us all, she says that we may be running forever, but running won't help when it's in our homes, offices, schools, churches, communities, and everywhere else. So do we want to talk about race? Do you want to talk about race? Do I want to talk about race? No. I'm just kidding. Of course we want to talk about race. This is a very important topic. How about this? We talk about race while we talk about this book. I'll talk about the chapters in this review, some things I learned from the book, what I liked about it, what made me kind of tilt my head like, what? When I talk about that, a very small part of me thinks that it might be a little bit maybe racist. So if you think that it's racist, please let me know in the comments below. I'm very curious about feedback about this stuff because I think that's incredibly important. There are 18 chapters. Chapter 1. Is it really about race? By the way, the name of every chapter is a question, and every chapter is an answer to that question. A multi-layered answer at that. People have argued that the problem with police brutality and privilege and all that other stuff is class and not race. This just isn't true. If a person of color says it's about color, okay? And anything that's not true about that, because I could see why someone would hear that and be like, Sam, that is just like, you're full of like, what? The author addresses everything you might not agree with about that throughout the book. But just because it's about race does not mean it's only about race, right? Everything is multifactorial. Everything is multifactorial. Sugar! Get up here, you little snoo. Did you hear that? Look at this little baby. Hello. Woo. Just being very sassy this morning. Everything is multifactorial except giving that good old like button a pat on the back because it is proven to prevent heart attacks. 2. What is racism? Here she goes in depth on the 2 most common definitions of racism. 1. Any prejudice against someone because of their race, and 2. Any prejudice against someone because of their race when those views are reinforced by systems of power. There are huge differences between these two. 3. What if I talk about race wrong? 4. Why am I being told to check my privilege? I learned that the concept of privilege makes the world seem less safe. This is a strange observation, isn't it? I've reviewed so many self-development books this last quarter that to review like 3 or 4 books in a row about race, which I haven't ever done before, it's like a whole new world. The thing is, we want to protect the vision of a world that is safe and kind and predictable. People saying to check our privilege want us to just consider how the advantages we've had in life are contributing to our opinions and actions, and how the disadvantages in other areas are keeping you from understanding issues that others are facing, and may in fact be contributing to those issues. People who think, oh, they're just blaming everything on us, I feel like they might not be considering this. I think that's the only reason that people really want us to, well, not the only, because everything's multifactorial, but I think it's one reason why people want to bring it to our attention. Have you ever written down all the things that you have at the expense of an oppression of others? 5. What is intersectionality and why do I need it? People who don't care about intersectionality, I'll put it this way. They think they're making things better, and their hearts are in the right place, but they are unknowingly making things worse by unknowingly trying to make things better for themselves. And I wonder if this is as common in social justice as it needs to be in order to put dents in its overall modern effectiveness. 6. Is police brutality really about race? 7. How can I talk about affirmative action? The author's, the way she talks about herself reminds me of the way Shonda Rhimes talks about herself in Year of Yes, except just a little bit less conceited, maybe a lot less. No shade to Shonda, that just adds to what makes her stand out as an author. It's pretty entertaining how she talks about herself. What is the school to prison pipeline? There are an alarming number of black and brown children who are funneled, directly and indirectly, from our schools to our prison industrial complexes, contributing to devastating levels of incarceration that lead to 1 in 3 black men and 1 in 6 Latino men going to prison in their lifetimes. 9. Why can't I say the N-word? When she starts bringing statistics like these up to the table and just throwing them into the mixer, it made me think didn't you just say all of this stuff is multifactorial? I don't think it's about what she's saying. I don't disagree with it. I'm not doubtful, but I just started thinking that in terms of A to Z, it's well, A, B, C, X, Y, Z, that's the whole alphabet, guys. And again, all of this is multifactorial. It doesn't seem like she's reminding us about that enough, as much as she could, at least, throughout the book. And that was really my only concern. Another example, 10. What is cultural appropriation? I love what she says about cultural appropriation and what's specifically wrong with it, but when she talks about rap music and white artists today, I made self-produced rap music for 3 years. I made all the beats in these videos. People have asked me to get back to music. To be honest, I miss it. I think I'm better at music than anything I've done in my life. There were too many reasons for me to list as far as why I stopped. Regarding starting again, something tells me the last time I touched a mic is not gonna be really the last time that I touched a mic. She says that if you are a white rapper, you can be okay and go multi-platinum. Not platinum, but multi-platinum. Is this primarily, is she trying to say that this is because of race primarily? Is that what she's saying? Because I'm not sure it works that way. The reasons why have been highlighted quite recently, mind you and me and everyone, by black rappers, many of which, and are a topic for a totally different video, and they do not disagree with the ultimate ideas of this book. 11. Why can't I touch your hair? It's ones like this that are just, they're super personal, they're unique, they're pleasant. It was this point that I was I knew people did and said these things every day. It was never brought to my attention like this. The book is she opens up each chapter it's a different piece of this puzzle, and then she shows it to us and wraps it back up and puts it back in the box. I don't know what kind of puzzle that is. It sounds very complicated, but anyway. 12. What are microaggressions? This chapter, chances are, no matter your color, there is something that you were probably made fun of and bullied over as a child. I'll put it this way though. A childhood of microaggressions against someone can probably ultimately cause the type of damage that would require internal damage that could require the medical attention most people probably couldn't touch affording. 13. Why are our students so angry? The way she explains this really kind of sounds like the school to prison pipeline. This stuff, it just is happening today, no matter what one may think or say about it. 14. What is the model minority myth? Often overlooked, this is a collection of stereotypes about Asian Americans, presenting them as an ideal minority group in the eyes of white supremacy. This chapter got me thinking, made me wonder, what are the effects of positive stereotypes? Are they really that positive? How do they hurt? 15. But what if I hate Al Sharpton? I didn't get that much out of this one in terms of Al Sharpton. In fact, to be honest, I still don't know really who he is. But I think basic ideas to keep in mind when discussing race, like tone policing, for example. That was a huge one I learned that I've thought about a couple times over the years, but I never really knew that there was a word for it. That's my favorite thing about this book, is probably the basic understandings of these things. 16. I just got called racist. What do I do now? This one's a little explosive. She says that no one likes being called racist. Everyone is racist about something at some point, and why that is a little bit necessary for us to kind of move forward. 17. Talking is, I lied, there weren't 18. I thought there were 18, but there were 17. Talking is great, but what can I do? A lot. For more information, I'd check the book out, because at the end of every chapter, that's the most gold in this book, where it can be found. I feel like the discussion of race is like, let alone the world, our country, the US, is a battlefield of minds. The minds are negative transmissions of human interaction. And if you step on one, surprise, it will explode. And then another one might explode. And then another one might explode. And then another one might explode. And it's almost completely unpredictable how much damage that can do in this domino effect. But I think books like this are what can help us navigate and sort of find out how to dismantle that and where to step. Again, like, my favorite thing about the book is probably accessible highlighting of terms like intersectionality, the school-to-prison pipeline, cultural appropriation. I didn't understand what these were as thoroughly listening to How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi and White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. But this book explained them really well. Also microaggressions, the minority myth, tone policing. Tone policing is just, it's great. Because that's the one I would see most often in heated discussions on social media about race. That, like, how much time is it wasting for people to not realize that this is occurring? And it seems like no one's really talking about the specific content in these books. Hey man, a black security guard did absolutely nothing to be killed by a white police officer in broad daylight in Minneapolis. What did he do? Nothing. What can we do? If you think it's really the same answer, I think you might want to check out a compassionate, supportive, empowering book like this one. I suggest doing that and maybe thinking again. Quotes. How we define racism also determines how we battle it. Don't deny someone's lived experience. Your goal is to find out if you're being racist, not to prove that you aren't. Are your children only learning about people of color in February? Direction 1. I recommend this book for, well, anyone who wants to talk about race. Direction 2. If you like this book, I recommend checking out White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo, How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi, and I haven't checked out Me and White Supremacy by Layla F. Saad. I think that's her name. I'm gonna do that. I'm actually doing that right now. So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video, if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. And also let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe, but if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.